At ease. Welcome to the At Ease podcast. I'm glad that you came and did this for me. I appreciate it. I should have been had you on here. You and your comedic ways, because being stationed with you on my first ship, it was cool. It was really cool. Did a long deployment together, a long deployment, but
Painful.
it was cool. We made it the best. Just being out there. So yeah, thanks again for coming on. Coming from, well, is it when you say Florida or Georgia? Which one? But I know
I
you
don't.
born and raised in Atlanta, but then you moved to
I
Florida.
wouldn't. Yeah. I don't know. I would. I guess I would say Florida. Like
Florida?
the good years. The getting in trouble years.
The getting in
That
trouble
was
years.
Florida.
That's
That
Florida.
was Florida. Yes. The getting in trouble years. The good years.
Right,
That's where I
right.
came in the Navy from. So I guess Florida is what. But all of my family is still all in Georgia though. So
All in Georgia.
with the exception of my brother who lives in well, my brother and my mom, they both live in Texas.
Texas. Oh, okay. Okay. That's dope. So Florida is what it is. You went to boot camp
Mm-hmm.
in Florida.
In Florida.
Had a good time.
Did I?
I'm out there in the cold. Chicago.
I know. I know. What was that? Well, it probably wasn't. Well, I mean, I'm sure it was bad, but it probably wasn't that bad because you come from Philly. Like it's. Let me just say,
Hey, that's before global
this
warming.
is far
I'm telling
north as I'll go. We have to have this
you.
conversation. Like, when I have to have this conversation all the time about how Virginia is not the North, but it's 100% the North to me.
Right.
So I'm
Coming
like,
from down south. Yeah.
yeah, and even though Jersey is like where his mother lives, and Jersey is so pretty, and I'm like,
Okay.
but I can't afford it. That's number one, and number two, I'm not shoveling snow. Like that is not a
Nah,
thing. Like,
nah,
mm-mm,
nah.
mm-mm.
I did that for my mom this past winter. I said, nah, I'm beyond that. I'm
Yeah,
beyond that.
absolutely not. And
I'm cool.
The kids ain't out trying to get no money anymore.
No, them days are over with. Because nobody
Yeah,
even
them
come
day.
by. So, like, my
Yeah,
uncle got to get out there and shovel it, or somebody like that. But, like, the kids not coming by. That's how we made
mm-mm.
money. Us coming up,
Yeah,
that's how we made money. So, different times. Different
yeah.
times.
Shoot, I
Yeah. But
was
I'm like,
mowing
I mean, I
lawns.
like to visit. I like to go back home. But the cold, nah, I'm just not
Mm-mm.
down with it. So,
I'm not.
yeah, cold weather.
I
So,
like the
yeah. So,
sun.
you joined the military.
Mm-hmm.
Why the Navy? Why did you join the Navy?
Well,
Oh, better yet, excuse me back up. Why did you join the military? What was going on? They graduated high school and said, you know what, college wasn't my thing, or was it?
mm-mm. No,
No.
no. I joined the military in December before I graduated high school. But the big thing was is that my mom didn't have money,
Mm,
and um you you know I counselors weren't like counselors are today. Like my counselor didn't sit me down and say, "Hey, let's you have a really high GPA." I think I graduated
right.
high school with like a 3.8 or something like that. Like I
Mm,
had a pretty high GPA, but he didn't sit me down and say, "Hey, hey Susan, let's talk about your future," or anything like that. So and then I was really scared, and I was like, I'm going to have to pay for college. And, I was a
right.
senior, so I was drinking a lot. And I'm like, oh, so now I'm going to go to college and I'm going to be drinking more, right? And so I was like, I'm just going to go to well, I said, I'm going to go in the military because it, go, put me to college, right?
Right.
And so I think I checked out. I checked out all of the forces. I knew that I didn't want to go Army because fuck camping out. Um, I the Marines really tried hard, but I was like, I don't think
Oh,
I'm a
really?
Marine. And then yeah, and then
Hey, you don't fit. Nah.
but it was Air Force. It was between Air Force and the Navy. And so
Right.
when I was younger, I was the editor of my yearbook in high school.
Mm.
And so I wanted to be a journalist. And so I was
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, so I went into the recruiting office and they're like, well, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, well, I want to be a journalist. I want to go to school for journalism. And so the Air Force said that they couldn't promise me journalism.
Mm.
But the Navy said, we can promise you journalism. So I chose Navy.
Wow.
How I ended up in IS is a whole nother
A whole
recruiter
another story.
story.
Right.
It's a whole other story, yeah. But
Yeah,
being
because
a
IS and journalism
journalist,
don't go together. But go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. Being a journalist was what it was. And then, I went to MEPS, and it was really funny because at MEPS they were like, oh God, they said, we don't have any journalism A schools open right now, but we've got this cool program called Seaman Apprenticeship. You could be anything you want to be. And I said, I want to be a journalist. I don't want to be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can strike, if you're really, really smart. They looked at my ASVAB and said, you're really smart, so you could probably strike journalism. I was like, oh, just take a test. I'm good with that. I could do that. I'm editor of the yearbook, so I'm thinking, this is easy, right?
Right.
So halfway through boot camp, they start talking about schools and shit. Come to find out, JO is A school only. I raised my hand. I gotta go. So I was pissed. I was pissed. But this is the 90s when we still cared about our mother's opinion. Right. My company commander, he's like, Susan, we can take you over there and get you processed out because they clearly lied to you. Right.
Really?
Yeah. And so I said, but as soon as he said that, I thought to myself, I thought about my mom's disappointing face. Like,
right.
I felt like I was being a spoiled brat. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's what I wanted to do with my life, but I was crazy.
Risk it all. Yeah, you was going to risk it all.
Right. But I just was like, I don't want my mom. I don't want to disappoint my mother. So I stayed in, and I was a part of, so it was when they were re-outfitting the USS LaSalle.
Okay.
So when I went to Seaman Apprenticeship School, there was my school had a lot of females in it. And I think the class right behind me had a lot of females. Every single one of those classes, all of us got orders to the USS LaSalle. It's a second lie, because, when I joined, girls didn't go to sea. It wasn't really a lie. Yeah. When I joined, girls didn't go to sea. Not that I really cared. It's just that the first place I get is a freaking boat. And I was like, So I was on hold, and that's how I got into ceremonial guard. So we had to sit on hold because LaSalle was still in Bahrain, because that was when it was the White Ghost. And so, so they were bringing it around, and they were gonna, put it in the yards and
what was that, like
create
a
female
or
birthing.
FFG or something?
I think so. I don't know what the LaSalle is because I never went. I never went. And then I ended up being on hold. So I was on hold down in Orlando. This is the crazy shit. So, in Orlando, we weren't allowed to wear, we had to wear a uniform. We weren't allowed to wear civilian clothes. So even though I had graduated, I was still being made to only wear a uniform out, which of course I never did. Mm-hmm. But I worked for a boat's BT, a boiler tech master chief. He hated me at first.
Right.
He was so fucking angry that the Navy was letting women go to ships. I had to suffer the wrath every day. Every day. Can't fucking believe they're going to let the females go out to sea. What the fuck you going to do? And so he used to tell me all the time. He told me that out in the hallways was where I belonged. That was women's work, to do the stripping and waxing. Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely, 100%. So one day I just got fed up with it. He said something. I said, "Fuck you, Master Chief."
Yeah.
After that, I became his best friend. Loved me after that. I was like, "No, fuck you."
Yeah.
Yeah. He loved me after that, but I was like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" I got tired of it. I was young, but I was like, listen, I'm only going to take so many times you talking about a fucking woman belongs in the kitchen and shit.
Right.
But yeah. And then, I was on hold with him, and ceremony, I think one was the master chief, maybe one was the senior chief. Anyway, these two chiefs walked in, and I was just stripping and waxing because that was woman's work. So I had just laid the wax down. Here comes these two chiefs at the other end of the hall, gonna walk on my freshly waxed floor with their fucking taps. Clack, clank, clack, clank, clank. I'm screaming, no shit, Ty.
Right.
From the
Yeah.
other semen, no fucking body at all.
Yeah.
Get off my fucking floor! I just laid wax.
Yeah.
See, at this point, I've been with that Master Chief for so long that I have no idea.
Right.
I have no idea what
Right.
the.
You done lost your damn mind.
I've done lost my mind.
Yeah.
So these two jokers steadily coming to me. At this point, they're laughing. They think it's hilarious because I am livid.
Right.
And so they asked me how tall I was. I was mad. I was like, tall? I was like, I'm 5'11". Why? And they just walked away. And I guess they went and talked to the boiler tech, to my Master Chief, and then they came back out and offered me the ceremonial guard. All they had to do was tell me, shore duty and not the LaSalle. Like, I was like, I'd been on hold, already for a while. And so then I went to the ceremonial guard.
So ceremonial guard, like, that's not the same as the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers, or is it?
It is. But the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is the Army. So the Army owns that. Army owns Arlington.
Uh-huh.
So the Army owns Arlington. That's why, like, all of this, that's the Army owns the horses, the Clydesdales.
All of that.
So, yeah. So, like, when we have, like, big ceremonies, like full honor ceremonies, it's usually even for the Navy, even if it's all full honors Navy, even the Army will be driving the Clydesdales through it, the casket through Arlington.
So when you see like say presidential big stuff, they have on TV, and you see those sailors, they all ceremonial guards.
They're all ceremonial guard. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, I never
unless it specifically says. So, yeah. So sometimes when you sometimes you'll see, like, I want to say, where was the Super Bowl this year?
The Super Bowl.
Wherever the Super Bowl was, I think they had some like honor guard people, but it was like local honor guard.
That's what I be thinking. Like, it's local people. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's like local honor guard. So, I mean, we called it honor guard, but really we were U.S. ceremonial guard, and they'll separate it like by that United States ceremonial guard. And we were all like, I mean, all the forces had them, Yeah. And we, I did all kinds of ceremonies.
Really? Like, what was the biggest ceremony you done? Do you remember?
Well, Mandela. I did Mandela when Mandela came. I was on the lawn and I did the dinner thing for him. So I was Cordon Height. So Cordon Height is like anytime you see the presidents or anybody walking through and they've got their like their M1 and they're holding it like at attention, right? And you just see all the different services. I was Cordon Height. So that's about 5'11" to about 6'1", right? They like to keep you all about the same height. But I was like one of the only females that was like always in the cordon. So I did all kinds. You doing
something special being in the cordon?
I just was in the cordon. Like, I just was there. Like, I would, like, sometimes at night, when they have the presidential dinners or the White House dinners and stuff, we line up on the driveway as the dignitaries drive in. I've got a picture I had a picture. It got messed up at my mom's storage, but I had a couple pictures with Clinton like right next to me.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I did some pretty cool stuff. Like, I did Jackie Onassis.
Yeah.
I did that in the Arlington. That was a whole day. Like, I did you know how outside, which is it's crazy, like the things that I was exposed to as a young sailor who's completely clueless, right, head in clouds. But there's a woman's like a little woman's thing right outside of Arlington, like a little women's history kind of museum. It's specifically for women. I did the dedication ceremony for that, for the laying the groundwork. And, I didn't know until later that that's what I was doing. And I think to myself, who would have thought someone who, like, I was young. And so while I've always been very, like a feminist kind of, I wasn't as women empowerment driven when I was young. Cause I didn't, you don't know any better. And Oh, the Korean War Memorial. I did that. I was the only female in that cordon, and I
Oh, really?
marched next to Korean soldiers.
Mm.
And there was a lot of females. Like we did. I mean, there was in all the different ceremonies. There was a lot of females, but the actual one cordon, I was the only female, and I had Korean soldiers on both sides of me. They were pretty
Wow.
enamored by me too. They were smiling and stuff at me.
Oh, they probably look at this tall woman.
Right.
They
They're
probably looking at
probably
you
like, she's
like,
like a huge bitch.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because like I was thinking about like stuff like that y'all do was like that was dope. Then like
Yeah.
Yolanda, she was cleaning President Obama teeth. It's just
Yeah.
like wow.
Yeah. Like you don't
Like
know.
you right there. You know,
Right. Right. Rhonda was in it with me.
that's how y'all know each other.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. So she was in it with me. She
I
was,
never knew that. Y'all never spoke
hmm
about that. I never knew that.
yeah, that's where she got pregnant with Jordan, and I'm
Mm,
Jordan's godmom. So she was like my little best friend up there.
that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. I
Hmm.
got a guy now, like one of my son's closest friends. He a CS1, and he right now he's a cook up at the White House in the West Wing.
Nice.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, he doing
Until
his thing.
was he a cook though when Trump was there? Like, don't you
No, he
wonder?
just got there like in January.
Like, yeah, I guess you don't really have to cook for Trump, right? He just eats McDonald's.
McDonald's.
He's
That's another
gross.
conversation for another day. I'd love to
Yes,
hear your
yes.
perspective on that though.
But you don't want to
So
hear my perspective. I
I do.
definitely,
Not right now though, but I will another day.
no.
So coming from that great Florida weather, and you get to
Mm-hmm.
DC during the ceremonial guard, what was the shock to you? Was like the snow? Because it was
Ah,
snowing then.
oh, it was snowing. That was a really bad winter too. And
Yeah.
I owned one pair of pants, just one. Ask me how many coats I owned. Zero.
Zero.
I
Zero.
literally got off. I literally got off the plane with one pair of pants and no coats. Nothing.
Mm.
So in the ceremonial guard, they do a boot camp all over again. You got to go and at the building on Anacostia,
Oh,
there
okay.
was like a it's all really nice now, but back then
Hmm.
it was like an old building we were in, and you were up in the attic. And we had to go up in the attic. And so when we would go down to like Gen Pop, we had to
Right, right.
walk along the wall with our hands next to our side. We couldn't move our hands. We had to look forward. They would be like talking shit
Mm.
and all in our faces, and we'd have to maintain our composure. So I think the first couple of weeks I was there, we didn't get Liberty on the weekend, so I was okay. And
Yeah.
then, but once we did, the first thing I did was go to Pentagon Mall and bought I think my first jacket that I bought was a starter jacket, a
Really?
Falcons starter
A
jacket.
Falcon story?
Some Tims. That's the first time I bought Tims. You had to
Oh
have
yeah.
Tims. Like
Oh yeah. You had to.
now I
You had
understood.
to.
I
Right.
understood the assignment once I got up there.
Exactly. Exactly.
I understood.
Exactly.
So
You need them. Yeah, you need them.
yes, yes.
You need them.
So
Yeah.
that was it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a shock. My face. I was always out in the sun, so I was really brown skinned. So I
Right.
was never really. I mean, I was always exposed. So I remember like the color just being gone and my face breaking out. And the lady, I went and I was like, I don't know what all this is. And she was like, oh, um, Florida has that salt in the air. And
Mm.
so your skin is your, it's just kind of, I guess my skin was reacting to maybe all of the smog. I don't know,
Right. Right. Right.
but
Right.
basically I had it was sad for a minute, but
It was.
I got
It
it
was
together.
different. It's different up there.
Yeah.
It's different up there. Yeah.
And I was
That
like,
was like your first time driving in the snow too. I'm sure, right?
mm.
Yeah.
Not only my first time driving in the snow, but I was trying to teach my girlfriend how to. So I'm like literally going up 95 because her and I went and bought cars.
Right.
And luckily, thank God that I didn't, fall prey to a place, but we went to an actual dealership. And so
Okay.
she just had to have this Honda CRX, right? And
Mm.
so, and I had bought a Plymouth Laser. So they were both 5 speeds. So I'm teaching her how to drive a 5 speed in the snow.
In the snow. Nah.
Yeah.
No.
She dropped her clutch literally in a week and a half.
Oh, she killed
Like, I have no idea. She killed it. I was like, thank God you had it. She had like a little, she got it for free. But yeah, that was rough. That was scary. I think that's probably the
Oh, yeah,
slowest
I'm
I ever
sure.
drove, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you
That
don't
was
mess
scary,
around.
but
They got ice up there. Nah, you don't mess around.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
And that's when it was snowing back then
Yeah,
in the night.
yeah.
Yeah, it
And
was
back
snowing.
then, yeah, I mean, and we still had to do ceremonies back then too. We would have to do ceremonies. You would step onto like we had one guy
Out in the
break his
cold?
leg. Mm-hmm. Out in the cold. Like what? That shit didn't stop ever. People would not be, people don't, they don't, funerals don't stop just because like you're not going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like the funerals are not stopping. So they'd be like a complete shutdown and we're out there still doing like funerals
Right.
every day.
And I only said that like because growing up, like, I'm a corner boy, so I'm out in the cold. But as you get older, you realize you like, that's about the dumbest thing in the world. It's cold as hell outside.
I
Why am I
know.
standing on this corner? Like
Exactly.
cold.
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
We still had to do all the stuff. So the only good thing is that, I think you'd be so hot from just kind of marching or,
Marching. Oh,
we were
okay.
taped up,
Okay.
right? So,
Yeah.
like you had to, so in the winter, is it winter? Anyway, we wore jumpers just like boys.
Mhm.
Whichever time that girls don't wear winter. So we
Winter
wore
time.
jumpers just like boys. Like we didn't wear the jacket. Because we all
Okay.
wore jumper in the summer, right? So in the
Right.
winter, we wore jumpers just like boys. We wore a boy uniform. But in order to put your little gold belt on, you had to be completely flat. Like your stomach had to be completely flat. So
Really?
everybody taped up. So you started taping up somewhere about lower your hips to about somewhere like right up underneath your, like a bra line almost. You would tape that
Yeah.
so that would be completely flat so that when you would pull that in, that belt buckle, it
You
just
talk
went
about
flat.
y'all got taped up?
Mm-hmm. Taped. You taped up. You had to tape up the bottom of the bottom of your pants would be taped to your leg, right, like right above the leggings, the little grommet leggings,
Yeah.
and then and then we had like this little we made them out of BBs and water hose. And so we'd fill the water hose up with BBs, create that. And that's what made the pants look perfectly round.
Oh. Okay.
So imagine if you had something and we would have had, we didn't have the cool, what are those things that we wear in our uniform? The ties. I get so mad at people when they don't wear them. The little rubber bands around the bottom, around your uniform.
Uniform. Yeah.
I can't even think. Look,
blouse,
see how far we've been gone?
Yeah.
Blousing
the things
strap.
that blouse
No.
your pants. Yeah, blousing strap.
Yeah, the blousing straps.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was like that, but we did it with tape. Because the blousing straps wouldn't hold because that round thing is like heavy with BBs.
Oh.
I mean, it was we got dressed. It was a thing.
I mean, because I always look sharp. Everybody,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what branch, always looking sharp.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. And I think a lot of it is tape. I think we kept masking tape in business.
I would have never made it, man. I ain't got that flat belly that people talk about. Like, I would have made it.
There's a lot of people that didn't have flat bellies. That tape worked on them. Now I was like, I weighed 100 pounds soaking wet, so I was fine. I didn't really even need the tape, but you did it so that in case your like waist was small or your hips were big, you know what I mean, so that it just kind of kept it all in one place. But yeah,
to make it smooth, just like that.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Hold on just a minute.
Wow.
Text Aaliyah. My son always walks out the door and don't close it. What kind of country has he been raised in?
In your house?
Yes.
Yeah, in your house.
Butthole.
Gotta blame the parents. That's all I say.
I know, you have to. You have, and you can't blame my husband. It's all me.
It's all you.
Yeah, he's definitely rotten because of me. He is. I don't know if he's a mama's boy because he's actually really a daddy's boy. Okay. He was with Woo most of his life, like when I was always deployed. I spoil him. I'm the one that spoils him. But
So
yeah.
why the IS rating? Like, how do you get into that?
So
Because I'll be honest
I'm in
with you, like you
this.
don't fit that rating. Like you don't
Oh,
like from what IS is like, you don't fit that.
again,
Yeah,
once
yeah,
again.
you don't fit that.
So I am. Two things about the ceremonial guard. One, it was short duty. Two, they promised me an A school when I finished. Can you close that door? I don't know what country your best friend was raised in, but thank you. Um, and I was a promise. Just close it. Yes, is she out there? And can you bring me a Pepsi too? Thank you, baby. Um, I was promised an A school. So
Right.
that was like, if they would have promised me an A school, I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have said yes to whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because I just really wanted to be a journalist. So I'm in ceremonial guard. Now I was already a seaman, so I was already eligible. By the time I got to A school, because I had been on hold so long, thank you, baby,
Yeah.
I was already eligible for third class.
Mm.
So I go to take, because back then I want to say signalman was 100%. Like all you had to do is put your name on the list. Like
Okay.
signalman, the test. It was
Yeah.
100% for third class. So I was going to go and take the signalman test.
Mm-hmm.
So they told me, if you take that test, we can't give you an A school. Fuck it. So I stayed a
Yeah.
seaman for 2 years.
Really?
Eligible for third
For third
class.
class. And for 2 years,
Two
you was 2 years
years. 2
eligible for
years.
third class. And just said, fuck it.
So, yeah. And so I do my 2 years. By the way, I was the most senior seaman in the guard, which meant something. I was like the CMC of seamen. You listen, you have to feel sorry for them jokers.
Oh
Because
yeah.
it's like
I know.
making mash cheap. Once I was the senior seaman, you could kiss
Right.
my ass. I was like, I'm a senior seaman. Anyway, so I go, and our career counselor is an RM2, by the way, RM2. This is my career
Right.
counselor, and I go in there and talk to him, and I say, "Hey, dude, I want journalism." He said, "Nah, you don't want journalism." No, I really do. He was
Yeah.
like, "But Susan, you've been a seaman for 2 years."
Wow.
He was like, "And journalism is like really hard to make rank in." He was like, "And so now you're going to go to school and it might take you a while to make rank, you know, but he
RM2?
was,
That's what the
this
RM2
is what the RM2 says to me. And what do I know? Cause I'm the senior seaman. The only thing I know how to do is a ceremony. That's it.
I'm sitting there listening. I'm like, who's saying
Yeah.
this?
This is the RM2. And he was a career counselor, but he was an RM2 at the time. So
Right.
not
It's
anyway.
early 90s. Mid
Yes,
90s,
early
I'm
90s.
sure.
Yeah.
Midnight, yeah.
So he says,
RM2,
but
career counseling.
he
Okay.
says, but if you go IS, it's like 100%. He was like, and it's just like journalism.
Mm.
It is.
Yeah.
I was reading it. I was like, it talked about briefing and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I mean, I guess maybe. I was like, okay, I'll take IS. I got down to school. I think it was the natural progression or the natural thing for them to say for us to go IS because we already had TSSCIs, right? I had a Yankee
Okay.
White, like I had a White House TSSCI clearance,
Right.
So it just seemed you already have a TSSCI, but anyway, and then I wasn't supposed to have to obligate. I get down to ISA school. I get down here in the country back when Damn Neck was not like a real thing, like
right.
crazy country back there. And
Yeah.
so I go, and come to find out, one, I still have to obligate, and two, it is 100% nothing like journalism. But again,
Oh no, yeah.
But again, what am I going to do? I'm not going to disappoint my mother.
Right. No.
And now I've got to be the best in the class, because I'm competitive too.
Right.
So I just did it. And
That's
I've never liked it. Ever.
Because I was shocked.
But I was good at it.
I was going to say this for later, but I was just shocked. Like, you not taking a job once you retire like that. Like that was like, cause you easily walking into something nice.
6 figures.
Easily.
6 figures.
That's what I'd
easy.
even question. As long as you've been doing it, that's easy.
And I'm good at it. That's the sad part is I'm actually good at it. But I'm just, it's just an extension. And especially here, it would just be an extension of being in the Navy. And I got
you. Because you couldn't, you're really not getting away from, you're going to be around military regardless. To pick a base, you're going to be around it. Yeah. You're going to be around it.
And I don't know. Like, it's not one of the, I mean, I guess maybe I probably could find something, but I don't know. You know, I might change my mind.
We're going to get to talk about what you're doing right now anyway, because that's
more fun.
You didn't tip that needle. That's like, wow.
Yeah. That's completely opposite. Yeah. Completely opposite of what people would expect from me. Yeah.
No doubt. So you go to the USS Bataan, your first ship. What pay grade were you at? What were you at?
I was an E5 by then.
E5.
So my first duty station was Optef 4, and mostly because I had to have surgery on my feet. So I started there as limb due for a minute, and then I just kind of stayed there. So I was at Optef 4. I don't know if you know what that is, but that's where they do all the testing. Optef 4 is where it's in Norfolk. It's over there. What's that base where Fleet Forces is? God, NSA. It's right outside of NSA, back by the houses, like back where the PPV is.
By base house,
But that's where they do all of our operational testing of things. Like they were testing the Harrier. Is it the Harrier? The Harrier, the one that like it was all the test they were doing. That's where they do all the testing. They tested like our systems, anything that we have on the ship, the catapults, anything they have. They start there. They do the testing.
You know, listen. 30 years. You know, I know people rate. Or at least I think I do. The only thing I knew that y'all did was like, that's where you go get your security clearance from. I couldn't tell you nothing else.
And the one that you get security clearance from.
Hey, I couldn't tell you nothing else.
Oh my God.
That's what I knew. I didn't know, like, what do they do? Like
we track enemy forces.
That's it.
Yeah. Like
so you
I had
like,
to.
You say,
so essentially,
I know we can't talk about it, but you say some stuff, I'm sure.
But essentially, I would say, hey, if, we're going near, you name it, country. This is how this is their military. This is their typical deployments. This is what vessels they have. This is the capability of those vessels. This is what we're looking at. By the way, this many people are out to sea right now. This is the last known posit, and looking at our position and their position, you just kind of can say, hey, in 2 days, we might be in the vicinity of this.
Right. I got it. I'm character. That's the intel briefs that we be at on the ship.
Yeah.
It's all of that.
So, so that's what we do. So we track, and then it's not just tracking. I mean, that's what you do out to sea, but
out to sea, I guess.
Do it on the ground too. So
you on the Bataan, what would you like? Was you a little nervous, or you was like, okay, I'm going to my first ship?
I wasn't nervous, but it was. I mean, I guess I was a little nervous, but I remember being scared. So I was young and I was single, and it's so funny, this guy, but my first ship. So I was like, he offered me the Bonhomme Richard or the Bataan. And that's what I was scared about. I was scared because I felt like I had been here for so long and I had kind of established myself. So I was like, I was scared to go to Bonhomme Richard because that was, West Coast.
Right.
And so I was like, I'll take Bataan. I'm telling you, it wasn't a week later I called him and I said, hey, Chief, I changed my mind. Can I take Bonhomme Richard? I think I do want to leave Virginia, right?
After you checked in?
No, this is not after I checked in. This is like a week after I had said yes to Bataan. This joker's on the phone with me. This joker's on the phone with me. And by the way, he ended up being one of the civilians that I worked with at NECC. But I was deathly afraid of this guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, Finnerty. So I was like, hey, Chief Finnerty, I've changed my mind. I think I want to go to Bonham Richard. I think I want to try to go to the West Coast, right?
Right.
And he's on the phone with me telling me how I need to go to see. So all he hears is some girl. And why does he think I'm trying to get out of sea? And I was like, so I'm listening to him berate me, by the way. And then I just said to him, I said, Chief, I feel like Bonham Richard is a USS. I'm not trying to get out of sea duty.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
I've already written your orders. This was 1 week later. Of course, now I know that I could have been like, yeah, kiss my ass.
Right,
but back then I was a second class.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was so deathly afraid. I didn't like this dude until I was a master chief and I worked with him at NECC. I would be like, he's mean. I would tell people all the time, he's mean.
That for all them years?
He's mean. I used to tell him, he's mean. He is so mean. So when I was out at sea and I got pregnant with Angelina, I was so afraid to have to call him. My senior chief says to me, you need to call Chief Finnerty and see about getting pregnancy orders.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to call him because I was scared he was going to judge me, which of course he was going to judge me. Right. So I call up there and Master Chief Laveri, who was the senior detailer, answers the phone. He goes, oh, well, you know what? I asked to, Chief will be back in a minute. I said, I said, no, Master Chief, it's okay. You can do it. I said, I don't care where you send me as long as you don't send me to AIC where all the pregnant girls go to die. And I said, I got plans, right? And I didn't really have plans. I just didn't want to go to AIC.
Right.
So he went ahead and cut me orders. But Finnerty and I made Chief fast. So I was like in the circles, and I would always tease him about how mean he is. And he always just thought it was funny because he didn't remember me. Yeah, because he was... Right. Because I feel like he was being an asshole to me because I was a girl, not because of anything else. Like, he's a little bit of an asshole anyway, but I felt like he really had this assumption I was calling and trying to get out of sea duty.
Right.
You know, and I was like listening to him and I was thinking, Bonham Richard is USS and is fucking 5 and 6. When we're talking about, they're both LHDs, 5 and 6. Right. Like, what are you talking about right now? But, you know, whatever. It was the best move that, you know, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I mean, I had Angelina. I stayed here. Yeah. You know, I made, it helped me make good choices. But yeah, he scared me there for a minute. He might be the only chief that ever actually scared me.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. My girlfriend told me today, which really, it kind of hit home because I was talking about my job now, but she said people are intimidated by you because you're not intimidated. That's what the intimidation is. It's not the intimidation of what I know or how I look or even my face, but that it's because I'm not intimidated. Because I'm not intimidated by leadership or I'm not intimidated by people that outrank me or are in charge of me. Because I'm not intimidated, they are intimidated by me.
That's deep.
Isn't that
deep? But it's deep when she said that because I got it. I understand it. But that's true about you. But when I met you, you was like that.
I'm just not intimidated.
Right.
Like it
like,
could be.
You almost like be on something like, oh, we can scrap if you want to. Like,
yes. Oh, you don't remember the OS chief? I tried to kill him. And JB got, I don't even know if you were in the, when we were eating one day. Remember he got really pissed because I went into the berth. Him and I shared, what the hell is that dude? He used to do push-ups all the time. You know what I'm talking about? OS. He was an OS chief. Anyway. You would know him probably if you saw him. But anyway, he was trash because a lot of OSs are trash. But he was trash. And so his guys were like playing games and stuff. You know, they're 6 on, 6 off. And so I went in there one day. I went in the berthing. I just screamed. I went into the berthing. I told him and I told him and I told him. And then I was like,
you went in the male berthing?
I went in male berthing. I opened it up. Female on deck. I said, I sent one of my guys in there. I said, you need to tell them I'm about to come in. He said he went in there and they were just like, fuck you, she's not coming in. I opened the door. Female on deck. What the fuck are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? Right? And so then he comes up to me and he was like, he's on my back over here, right here. I'm sitting down eating and he's like standing over me talking about how I did this and I did that. And I turned to him and I was like, dude, I ask you and I ask you and I ask you, since you don't want to do your fucking job, I'll do it for you. And then he went to try to fight me. So I stood up. JB about had a heart attack. Hold up. Because I stood up. Oh, you want to fight a girl? I'm here for it. Knowing damn well, he would have killed me. Right? But you can't let him know. You can't let him know. I know that dude would have. But that's how that dude would have dragged me.
Right, but that's how you come off. Like, oh yeah, we can fight.
Yeah, listen, I'm glad I was banking on somebody standing up and being like, okay, Susan, come on now, be for real, right?
Yeah, stop playing.
Exactly, stop playing, Susan.
Yeah,
you weigh like I was little. You weigh nothing. Right. Can you please go sit down somewhere? This dude does push-ups all the time. He's like trying to be super big and buff. I can't remember his name.
Have you always been like vocal like that? Like not, but I wouldn't say like you go around initiating nothing. Like you'll sit there, you chill. But I guess when you like had enough is enough. That's when you kind of like.
I think so. I guess I have. The thing is I didn't realize I was like that until my girlfriend. I went to my 30-year class reunion this summer, and my two girlfriends brought their husbands. They're from Boston, and so they're really loud and boisterous and stuff. And we were having a blast, but one of them just kept messing with one of my best friends, like from high school. And I could see she was getting uncomfortable. So I turned to her and I was like, Jennifer, is he getting on your fucking nerves? And she just started laughing. And then my other little girlfriend, they both started laughing because...
This recently you talking like
Yeah, this is recently. So I was like, I told him, I was like, can you fucking leave her alone? She doesn't want to talk about this anymore. Or whatever I said, right? And everybody's laughing because I'm, of course, going directly into protective mode. And she goes, Sue, you've always been like this. Yeah. If you sense that I need some sort of protection, you feel like you got to be there to protect me. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe because I'm the big sister. Maybe it's because I always protected my little brother, even though he was 6'9".
I'm about to say, that dude a whole lot. Now you tall, but he's a whole lot taller than you.
Yeah, but he was always tall, but because he was tall, people would always mess with him. And he's 5 years younger. We're 5 years younger than me. I remember being a freshman in high school and my brother was still, I think at that point he was in 5th grade. And some guy that was in school with me, like in my grade, was messing with him. And I like grabbed him by his balls and like squeezed him really hard and told him that I would fuck him up if he touched my brother again. I just always been protecting my brother. And my brother was taller than me at that point. Like he was already like my height. Right. But yeah, my mom was standing there with her mouth wide open like, oh my God, I know.
Sue, you grabbed the dude by the balls.
Oh, yeah. Because I had told him, I said, I can't remember his name. I knew him. I said, hey, man, I know he's annoying, but he's 10, right? Right. He's 10. We're freshmen in high school. This joker is in 5th grade. He's 10. Right. Just leave him alone. Right. So I wasn't around, and he started messing with him, like pushing on him and stuff like that. So, I sure did. Told him I would fuck him up again. Once again, I probably couldn't have. But
right. But you doesn't matter. Be known. Like
when sometimes I feel like when you make sure that you let people know that you're about the streets, right? Then they just be like, okay, never mind. That female is crazy. Let's just go on. Let's leave her alone. Let's leave crazy alone. So I just did it. I guess I've always been protective like that. I don't know why, right. But I am protective.
That's all good.
And I think that's what it is.
Yeah. So when you did your first deployment, where did you go when you were out there in the ship? Where's your first deployment?
Shit, that was back in the good old days. I went everywhere. I went to
Yeah.
every port in the Med. The only place
Really?
I've not been to in the Med is France. So I
Oh,
went to Malta. I went to Spain a couple of times. I did
yeah.
Malta, Tarragona,
Malta is nice.
Barcelona.
It was nice when I went, but I'm sure back then it probably was like it was like a party town when I was there.
Yeah.
When we was there on the
Mm-hmm.
ship. Yeah. We went there on the ship. Yeah.
Yeah. There's I went to, well, I mean everybody's been to to Italy. Uh to Suda Bay.
Suda Bay.
I've been to Aqaba, Jordan.
Hmm.
This is all that cruise. Aqaba, Jordan. I did Israel.
Jordan.
I went
That's when
to
you was at the
Aqaba,
country of
Jordan.
Jordan?
I
Yeah.
went to Aqaba, Jordan, and I went to Israel. So I went to
Mm.
Jerusalem. I went to Jerusalem while I was there. That was really cool. I went in Aqaba. I went to Petra.
Yeah.
So
We were
seen
supposed
some
to
cool
go there on the
stuff.
Nassau, but I don't know what happened. Like it got
I don't.
we were supposed to go
Yeah,
there. Well, that's what we were
to
talking about.
Jordan, to
No,
Aqaba.
to Jerusalem.
Oh, that would have been really nice. What is that?
Yeah.
Haifa.
Haifa.
Yeah,
Haifa,
Haifa.
Israel. Yeah.
Yes.
We were supposed to
Let me
go
tell you
there.
something. We were in Haifa for 2 weeks. I want to say we were in Haifa through Thanksgiving. So I did
Yeah.
like a adopt a family for Thanksgiving. Like,
Hmm.
they don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but they did a meal. It was really cool. I've been
Oh,
to
that's what's up.
Turkey.
Okay.
Yeah, I came back
Okay.
broke.
They say you
Broke.
can buy a lot of stuff out there.
Broke. I
A
came back
lot of stuff
definitely
out
broke
there.
on that cruise. But I've been to a lot of great places, but I've never been to
Hmm.
France. That makes me
Never been to
sad.
France.
Have you?
That's cool.
You probably have.
Never been to France. No, I never been to
No?
France myself. No.
So
Mm-mm.
Nassau was your first ship?
My first ship. Yeah, I was an air
Golly.
crewman when I first came
Oh,
into the Navy.
I guess that's how that
Yeah,
works, right? Yeah.
yeah. And
Mm.
I said one day, I said, I'm ready to go to the ship. Actually, when I made chief, I was in Jacksonville. And when I made
Okay.
chief, I was trying to come to a ship, but they sent me to shore duty over in Oceana, which was cool. But but I just wanted to see what the ship life was about. So, but I enjoyed
That's
it. I
cool.
really did. Like the amphib, I really, really like enjoyed the Nassau. Like
It
it
made
helped
you
me
like
become
amphibs
a better
better,
chief.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it did. So, um, and that's why I tell people I would take an amphib over a carrier any day. Um,
Every day.
it's just like
Every day of the week.
yeah,
Because
it's
it's big
just
enough to be big, but small
yeah,
enough to know everybody. And that's what
everybody.
I always tell people.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
there's people on, like, when I was on GW, there are people that were on GW with me later in life. They'll be like, "You were on the GW. I think you were on the
right,
GW." Like,
yeah,
who are you?
right,
You
right.
know,
Because
like,
you may not know them, but you've seen them. In
right,
passing, especially
right.
on the carrier. But on the amphib, you know everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah,
Right.
and yeah, but that carrier. But I enjoyed the carrier too. I will say. I mean, haven't done the deployment, but I got underway on the
Hmm.
forward. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed. But
Yeah.
the amphib. Those deployments back like every year. I was cool with that. It was
Hmm.
fun. It was fun
Yeah.
time. So yeah.
I definitely liked a Truman, but I think a lot of that was because of what's his face? Who's my CMC? You know who my CMC was. Dang, why can't I think of his name? Kemp. Kemp.
Ray
Ray
Camp.
Kemp.
Ray Camp. Okay. Yeah.
Ray Kemp. Ray Kemp
Yeah.
made it for me. He
So
definitely,
his presence made it good. Like I guess he was one of them good leaders that
for me. Yeah, for me. A
okay.
lot of people,
Yeah.
I mean, he's like one of those acquired tastes, but I think he's a lot
Mm,
like me, so that's why. But yeah,
okay.
I mean, and he
Okay.
was just in general good for me because he, because after we did the decommission on the Nassau,
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to get a break. Like they were supposed to be sending me to the Roosevelt. So,
What did you
the
Roosevelt was in the yards at the time or something?
yeah, Roosevelt was in the yard, so
Oh,
they were like,
oh.
"We'll send you to the
You did some back
Roosevelt,"
to back sea time, and I want to
right?
talk
Because
about that too. But go ahead. Yeah.
you've been doing some stuff, and because I was
Yeah.
I was the decommissioning officer. Remember, like I was the
Mm-hmm.
decommissioning officer for Nassau. So
Mm-hmm.
they were like, "We're going to give you a break," and I'm no kidding. A week before, um, a week before I think I transferred, the Air Lamp Master Chief called me, who was a friend of mine. He was like, Susan, I'm really sorry, but I need you to go to Truman. So I essentially went to Truman and
That's how
took
you got
Truman,
there?
got Truman up out of the yards.
Okay.
Yeah. He's like, I
Okay.
need you to go to Truman. The female on Truman, here's the crazy thing. The female on Truman had gotten pregnant, the female chief.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was mad at her. I'm telling you, if I told somebody that they were ugly, the whole world knew it. They send out emails. Susan said, you were ugly. I know. Isn't she awful? She's so terrible, right?
Right. Right. Right.
This chick goes out to sea as a chief, as a grown woman chief. Like, we're
Mm-hmm.
not talking about a young girl, a grown woman chief, and gets pregnant.
Right. Yeah.
She made senior chief.
Yeah.
Listen. But anyway, I digress. But
You
yeah, that's how I
digress.
ended up on. That's how I ended up on
On
Truman. So
True. That's
I
what I'm
did
trying
back
to
to
figure out.
back
Like,
to
how did
back
she? Because I know
two
you was a.
times.
Yeah. 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 So how is that like as a woman back to back
Oh, that's rough
kids
for the kids.
kids
Hmm.
kids and you constantly gone. Like, how do you deal with that from
Constantly.
the mom perspective?
It's really, really hard. And I tell people that even now, like people, I tell people all the time, I still sometimes feel like I'm trying to make up for lost
Mm.
time.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
sometimes feel, and I know like in my speech I talked about it, like,
Mhm.
um, I got really lucky with Wu because he wasn't,
Yeah.
and not to say that he's trash or anything. He's not trash. The Navy just is not his thing. He didn't care about the Navy
I
the
got
way
you.
that
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was fine. He felt he was fine. He made good money and he was
Uh,
okay. And he didn't care to chase anything. Like
better
he
pay.
made,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so he was just here. He was here.
Mm.
And so he would, be here with the kids and I would be out, chasing this dream.
Right.
And it's crazy because it wasn't until I actually hung it up, and that was after Truman. I came off of
Mm.
Truman, and I created a hard line. When I walked off of Truman, I created a hard line, and it's crazy because I made senior chief and master chief right after that.
Yep.
It's like once I gave up,
Really.
that it's crazy. It's bananas, right? Because I went to Airland. Well, I mean, senior chief. I
Mm.
was at once I came off Truman, I told Woo, I was like, I'm getting my degree. Um, that degree that I came in the Navy for 20 years prior. So I'm getting my degree, and that's it. I'm getting out, right?
Yeah.
And so I was over at Subland, and I'm gonna tell you something. Listen, Subland was cake, and I got really
Really.
lucky because later in life, all these leaders they loved me. Like
Mm.
even
Mm.
even on Nassau. What
Yeah.
was his
Oh
name?
yeah.
Black. What do we call him? Black Sam.
Sam Norton. Black
Black
Sam. Sam
Sam.
Norton.
Black
Yeah.
Sam
Sam
loved
Norton.
me.
Black Sam.
I just
Yeah.
got really lucky later in life to have leaders who actually appreciated me and genuinely wanted to hear what I had to
Yeah.
say. Even the air boss, like on Nassau, I can't remember his name, the air boss, but he was like in charge of the decommissioning, and he
Uh
was
huh.
like he wouldn't make any kind of decisions unless he would always talk to me first.
That's what's
Like
up.
even I remember one time we were doing a holiday party and he had us there working, and I said, "Hey, dude," I said, "I get it, you're a man, but all of the women, we need to go home and put on makeup and do our hair." I
Right.
was like,
Ah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need you to
Yeah. Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
this. And he
Yeah.
started laughing at me. I was like, "Your wife's at home right now getting ready, while I'm sitting up in here with my
She
uniform
was.
on, looking a
Yeah.
mess."
Right.
And he was
Right.
like, "You're so funny," and I was like, but I'm serious, and I don't know why. Maybe these other female officers they don't like getting dressed. I don't know, but for
Right.
the rest of us, we
Right.
like to be. We don't want to look
Yeah.
like we just got out of our
Dolled up. Like,
uniform.
yeah. Like, you just
Yeah,
got done painting the side of the ship or something, and you talking about, come on, let's
right,
go.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but I just got lucky. I really did.
Yeah.
I got really lucky because from probably from about Nemitzi, which that female that was my officer, my presiding officer,
Mm-hmm.
from her on, I just got super, super lucky. Like it was like a change in
Oh wow.
like a change in how people received me. I learned a
Mm-hmm.
lot too. I mean, I spent some time in purgatory. Please don't Please don't get it twisted. I definitely spent some time in
I'm not
purgatory.
shocked. I'm not shocked, but
So,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, you start to get leaders who realize, she's probably a little reckless with her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I'm a
A
little
little?
reckless with
Well,
my.
go ahead.
So she's probably a little reckless with her mouth, but when it
Uh-huh.
comes down to it, she gets the job done, right? And she does exactly what you need her to do, and she's gonna do it the right way. Like
Mm-hmm.
you tell me you need something, I got it done. I didn't need a lot of people to help me get it done. I figured it out, right? And I think as time went on, people started appreciating that a little bit more than maybe they did when I was younger.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. But
So.
I know that piece is hard with the kids and
Oh,
and
oh,
no
it's really really hard.
and the important, yeah, it's hard. And then as long as you got a solid partner, you know, like at Woo, to
He's
make sure, hey,
amazing.
go ahead, yeah, do your thing. I got it. I'm gonna hold it down. Because normally
Yeah.
it's the other way around. The dude
Right.
chasing something, and
Right.
the woman is just like on something. Like, hey, all right, I just,
Yeah.
all right, yeah,
And I
whatever I
met
end up,
quite a
where
few.
I end
And I
up at.
met quite a few. I met quite a
Yeah,
few. Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like they were
So,
like, yeah, you're
yeah.
you're something because. But yeah, I mean, you have to. Truman was it. Truman was a big. Yeah, in general, it was a big eye opener for me. Like I knew that I had missed a lot, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we go back to Angelina. So I'm a single mom with Angelina. I don't know anything about being a single mom in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
I again back then you have no chiefs to help you because they didn't. It's just anyway
Right,
that's
they
a
focus
whole.
more on a
Yeah, yeah,
job,
yeah,
the
yeah. They
mission.
were
Because
focused
you
more on the
wasn't really getting
job.
them into your
Right,
personal business
right.
like that anyway.
Let me tell you
You weren't putting
something.
them in your personal business.
No, and so
Yeah.
I didn't know. So I was out of the Navy. I was out of the Navy. I was on terminal leave.
Mm-hmm.
I was a second class. I blew. When I say blew, I mean I put my name on the test and walked the fuck out. Blew
Yeah.
2 or 3 first class exams because I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not
Yeah.
going to be in the Navy with my kid, right?
Really.
So I'm on terminal leave and I have an epiphany because now I'm having to figure out my life. Like I'm gonna have to go home and live with my mother.
Mm.
No, no. So it was crazy because again, as an IS, here's another school story. As an IS, you're only as good as your NEC. But for
Mm.
whatever reason, I kept working all of these jobs and not getting a school. And I wanted imagery. Imagery C school was money in the bank, right? That was
Mm-hmm.
money on the outside. If I would have had that imagery C school, I probably would have gotten out, right? If I would have had
Right.
that skill. Because I
Right.
could have walked right into a job. But I was just kind of a jack of all trades, IS, right? So my senior chief, I talked about him in my thing. My senior chief, he was at AT senior chief, best,
Oh, okay.
first and best that I had ever experienced. Like so, just such a great guy. Like so
Okay.
lucky. And I worked for him and Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks, I worked for them in the SAP program. You probably know what the SAP program is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
him and Mr. Brooks created a job for me. Ty, they created a GS job for me because they wanted to make sure that I was taken care of and that my baby
Really.
was taken care of. They created a job, but he was like, Susan, I can't. Well, Goose is what he called me because my last name was Goswick, so he called me Goose.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, Goose, I can't create a job higher than a GS. I think it was 5. He's like, I got to start it at a 5. That's all I've got money for. We can move you up, right?
Wow.
But a 5 was like less than E5 pay. So while I'm on terminal leave, I'm
Oh,
starting to
yeah.
stress the fuck out, right?
Right.
I'm
Right.
starting to
Right.
stress the fuck
Right.
out. But Mr. B is
Right.
creating this job for me. He's like,
Right. But the
he
math ain't
needs it
mathing though.
anyway.
Yeah.
He needs it
Yeah.
anyway. But they were both very upfront. This is not going to be the same. It's going to be tight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Senior Chief Olmeyer, he calls my detailer and works out because the detailer refused to give me imagery C school because he didn't have the money to like send me and do the whole per diem and that whole thing, right? So Mr. Olmeyer calls. He calls down there and he works out a deal with Sam Fad and says, if you get her a seat and let her stay here for another year, she can go to that school, which was 4 months long.
Right.
I'll send her to the school if you can get her a seat.
Wow.
He calls me. I'm on terminal leave. Now, at this point, I've not told anybody how stressed the fuck out I am, right?
Right.
I'm sorry I curse so much too. I'm sorry.
No, hey,
but I'm not told anybody, right? I'm not told anybody how stressed I am, right? So I say, so he calls me, Goose, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just sitting here. He was like, I got a deal for you. He was like, what do you think about if you come on back in the Navy on active duty and I send you to that imagery C school you've been dying to go to?
Yeah.
For real, Senior Chief, you're gonna do that for me? He said, absolutely. I was back in the Navy the very next day. Back in the Navy the very next day. He is 100% the reason why I'm in the Navy. He was an AT Senior Chief who had no fucking idea what ISs do.
That's what I'm about to say.
No fucking idea.
He just like me.
No idea.
In aviation, we don't know. Like, we don't have no idea.
He had no idea.
I'm like, did she say AT? Like,
yeah, he was an AT Senior Chief, and I'm telling you, by far, by far has always just, I credit him with so much for me. Yeah. Like, he just was, like, how amazing is that he did that for me? How amazing is that they just kind of took care of me. Like, they knew that here's this young girl who's now got a baby, you know, and they just took care of me.
But if you wasn't, doing your thing, doing what you're supposed to do, you'd have went home.
Yeah. No, you're right. Home. Yeah, I definitely did my part, right?
Yeah, I said you had to do your part, and they recognize you for that. So yeah, that's a blessing,
Yeah, I definitely
it's just that
did
one
my
person
part.
that can make a difference. And for me, I just was on I just can't go back home. I go back to visit because I love Philly, but I was like, I just can't go back home to live. Like,
mine wasn't the going home; it was my mom. And I think we're a different generation. Like, I don't think that my kids, not that my kids don't care about disappointing me. I just don't think that they would make the choices that I made based sheerly on the fact that I didn't want my mother to be, the fear of my mother being disappointed in me was just outrageous.
Exactly. Kind of done so much, like, growing up, it's like, I can only do good now.
Right.
I can't just keep messing up, and she like taking it. That's why, like, I'm so close with her now today. Like, it's like you think back on that stuff, even though she like, that's over and done with. That's what kids do. But in my mind, I still feel like, dang, I was the worst out of all of us, but it's cool. Like, again, it's cool. It's a learning lesson and you want to change. So that's why, like you talked about earlier, how you try to overcompensate now for your kids because you're like, I worked so hard just so we can have a good life.
Right. Yeah.
But now I'm just trying to make it up to you now. I can tell you this, when I made Matt Sheep, it was just like, oh, I just need to fall back because I ain't got nothing. There's nothing else to fight for. So it's like,
nothing.
Hey, I'm here now. They're like, yeah, Dad, okay. Voices changing, it's a different world. It's like, yo, man, like,
and then
they
don't want
around doing your thing, but
it's
like you fighting and fighting and fighting. I guess that's why
I imagine.
Like, how do you always balance that work life and family life? Like, how do you balance
I don't think I did a great job. I don't think I did a great job.
I know I did it.
And I can tell you that just like most men, Wu and I, our relationship really, there was a lot of strain. It was a lot of strain in our relationship because he felt like a lot of times that I valued the Navy more than I valued my family. And I felt like I was doing it for my family. So it was just two different perspectives, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, all of that to say that I know we were talking about the kids. So Truman was my hard line. And because when I came back in the Navy, that's the reason why I took back-to-back ships. So I came back in the Navy. I got my, I was able to go to school at GW. He says, I need you on the GW. I go to GW. Now, at this point, I've come back in and I said, I take Angelina home and I told my mom, I'm going to make chief. My plan is I'm going to go from second class to chief like this because it's it's time, and I'm doing this for her.
Right. Yeah.
So I take her home. I'm on the GW. GW has I made first class, by the way. I made first class immediately. First test that I took, I made first class. Go figure.
Oh, wow.
So I go and I out to GW. There's 8 or 9 first classes in the Intel shop, right? So I said to my chief, who was trash also. So I said to him, I said, hey, dude, he calls us all in. He wants to give us all a chance at being like the LPO. I told him, I said, listen, man, I want to be a chief. Right. So I need you to tell me when I can be the LPO, because I need LPO out to sea to be a chief. That's all I want. Right? So he's basically sitting down, breaking it down for me. And he's like, yeah, I'm probably not going to get, because I was the most junior. I was the youngest first class, right? I'm probably not going to be able to get you in that spot until, I think it was 3 months before my 3 years was up or whatever. Right. I said, that ain't going to work for me. So I'll go back and sit down. Now, at this point, I've been in the Intel community for a while, so I don't know if you know Vic Dalton, but I knew Vic Dalton. And Vic Dalton was kind of well, first off, Vic Dalton is our first Black Master Chief, male. Okay. Right?
In the IS community?
In the IS community. First Black Master Chief. Yeah. But I had known him for a while, and they basically, even to this day, he still tries to finagle his way into the into our detailing processes. But I called him and I said, hey, I think he was a senior chief then. I don't even know if he was a master chief yet, because I think he made master chief when I got to WASP. So he was a senior chief then, and I said, hey, senior chief, I really am trying to make chief. And I was like, Shady Scheiding, because that's what I called my chief, Shady Scheiding. I was like, Shady Scheiding said he's not going to give me the opportunity because I'm the most junior. Do you have anything else? Right? So he comes back. Now we're mid-deployment at this point, which, oh, by the way, this was post 9/11. Okay. So this is big deal, right? This is 2002 deployment. Mm-hmm. So, so they created this shop. This is when we started tracking the container ships, because that's when we figured that they were transporting stuff on the container ship. So they created a shop for this. Why? Fresh out of imagery C school, that I wanted to be an imagery analyst so bad. Why am I chosen to run the shop? I remember telling my N2, I was like, my IO, the Intel officer, I told him, I said, hey, sir, that's not what I want. He started laughing. He goes, yeah, but I think you'll be good. I was like, well, I guess. I mean, if you're not going to, because the girl that was in charge of the imagery shop was senior. So I would have had to work for her. He was like, well, at least she'll be the LPO of this division. So I stood this division up. Long story short, it was a really good situation that they put me in, because what is it called? God, it's so crazy when you're so far removed from these people. It's but anyway, the squadron, the squadrons and stuff like that. So golly, I can't think of it. No, it wasn't the CAG. It's the other one. It's the destroyers. Anyway.
I know what you're talking about.
But him. So he's a captain. They had Desron, Desron Commodore. The Desron Commodore, I was having conversations with the Desron Commodore every day. Mm-hmm. I ended up walking away with all kinds of awards and accolades. Oh, wow. But halfway through cruise, I had already created a really good relationship with my intel officer. So I went and told Shady Scheiding, I said, hey, I just got an email from Vic Dalton, for Senior Chief Dalton. Senior Chief Dalton says he can I could do a swap. Like I can go on the, the WASP once we get back. They need an LPO. I need to be
Wow.
LPO, right?
Yeah.
And Shady Shining said, I don't think we can do that. So I said, oh, okay. So I went into the intel officer. I said, Shady Shining is not willing to give me a shot, and I need to make chief. Like, I'm not out here to play with these people. And he
Right.
goes, why wouldn't he give you a shot? And I was like, well, I'm the most junior, so he can't, bump me up over everybody else. I was like, but Vic Dalton, and my intel officer was a black dude, so he knew Vic Dalton. It's,
Right.
it's a small community in intel, and I hate to say that, but it still kind of is. But
Right.
anyway, so he knew him. So he sent him an email and said, you can cut our orders.
Wow.
And he cut me orders. So I'm telling you, I did the deployment on GW. Mm-hmm. I pulled GW into the yards, and literally the day we pulled into the yards, I checked off of that ship and checked into the WASP on the yards. And then I got the WASP all ready to go and pulled the WASP out of the yards and went back on deployment.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I made chief.
Wow. And then you made chief.
I made chief.
What was what gave you that spark to say I want to make chief? I want to make chief. Like what?
I just always thought, I don't even know. I'll tell you what, I don't know. Maybe it has to be Senior Chief Ohlmeyer. It has to be, because I didn't have any female chiefs. I never had a female chief. So I never had a female chief to emulate. I only had male chiefs to emulate, which is the reason why I'm so rough around the edges. Right. But I just remember thinking, like, when I was younger, I remember thinking that the chiefs were like the big shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think chiefs look like that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
they are. But
I remember when I was young thinking to myself, man, I mean, the women never looked really nice. That always concerned me. But I started.
I mean, I talk about that. I said, you know what? Back in the day, like, we ain't have no chiefs like that. But now, it's so many women, and I'm glad that, the younger women can see, oh, you don't have to look old to be a chief,
Thank you.
You don't have to look old to be a chief.
The women chiefs look like men. Do you not remember? In the 90s, they looked. Yeah. Oh, I was like, I can remember being like, I never want to be a chief if that's what happens.
Right.
But, I really think, I can't attribute it to one person, but I think that if there was ever anybody who made me just think that it was amazing, Senior Chief Ohlmeyer definitely did that for me. But I just always thought chiefs were the coolest. Didn't they seem like they were the coolest when you were young? Like,
yeah, they did. Like, it was just like, oh man, that's the thing to be right there.
Yes, yes, and
I was like, man, what they walking around with that box? What's in there?
Why they can't talk to nobody?
Why they can't talk to?
What they do? What's going on?
I only see them like a certain time of the day. I don't see them no more.
Why can't they talk to nobody?
Like, where they at? What they doing?
Yeah, I was like that.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of, but the flip side of that is that, unfortunately for me, I kind of had a lot of chiefs, like male chiefs, that were not great role models. And because I had not great role models, and I had not great season, because I went through it when we didn't learn a freaking thing, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's the reason why I spent some time in purgatory, because from my eyes, I've seen these chiefs they were reckless. They got away with everything. Right. But what I didn't realize was they were men. Number one, a lot of them were white men. And Susan Suddoth wasn't going to be received like that.
Okay.
And I wasn't. And so that it made it hard for me. It was a hard lesson to learn. So I always tried to be that woman. Okay. For people, right? I always try to be that woman. Like, Shay is probably, Shay's a great example of it. Shay's a great example. Like, I put Shay through the season.
Really?
Yes. I put Shay through the season. Now, she was at a C school or something for ITs.
Yeah.
And but she was doing it with the base, because the training command or whatever was all a part of
Yeah.
Dam Neck. We were all the same. And so
Right.
we were out one day, and she already had orders to the Nassau, and by then I had orders to the Nassau too. And so they were like, I talked to her for a minute, and she asked, would I be her sponsor? And I told her I would be her sponsor. And then they told her she couldn't have me as a sponsor. So I just
Really?
was I was just kind of her anyway sponsor. You know what I mean? Like, unofficial sponsor.
Sue, why you couldn't be her sponsor?
I have no idea. I think they made her pick someone in her building. Like,
So they probably knew
so
about you. They probably like, hell
they
no.
probably did. I mean, they probably did.
Hell
I'm
no.
not even gonna lie. They probably did, because I definitely listen when when they changed to 365. I was
Yeah.
all in for that. I think 365 was a hell of a good program. I
I
loved
believe
it
so. I agree.
because
Yeah. I mean, but the teaching aspect, I'm sure,
the
right?
teaching aspect,
Yeah.
yes. I ran
Yeah.
it at Airland,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you that not only did the Chiefs, that like Josie, the one that was with me, she made Chief under me.
Mm.
So the ones that made Chief when I was running 365, they knew how to do cadence.
Okay.
They knew everything.
Yeah.
They knew all of the Chief stuff. Like, every time, like, we were in NSA, and any one of those first classes that made Chief under my 365 program ended up running their season.
That's
Ended up
just, oh,
being
that's
like the
what's up.
lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I guess I just always felt like I walked away. I don't know that I knew how to do anything but a push up when I
Mm.
came, like a push up. And
Yeah.
I had to do a lot because of my mouth. I mean, we definitely already know that I was a special case. So, you know,
That- I wouldn't believe it at all until you telling me
and
right now.
but I'm telling you, it was, but I just felt like I can't, I never felt like I learned anything. Like, I
No,
feel like
I feel you.
nobody taught me
Yeah.
how to be a
Yeah.
chief. I
Yeah.
had to learn by making a whole lot of mistakes. And so I always felt
Right.
like 365 and those kind of, that new way of doing it was so much better, because now we're going to make chiefs that actually know policy. How about
Right.
that?
Right. Right.
Like, no policy.
Now for me it was like I was in a P3 squadron, so
Hmm.
we was in Sigonella, Sicily. So we did stuff with the base throughout the
Oh,
day,
okay.
the daytime stuff. But when everybody got to go home, me and these two other cats that was in the squadron, that's when the real training began. From like 7 o'clock at night to like 11 or 12 in the morning, or whenever they got tired. And then I still had to get up, or
Hmm.
us three had to still get up and go to PT in the morning.
Yeah.
We learned so much. And I have to honestly say, like, they did a different level of training. So I had to respect those chiefs that was in the squad in PP
Yeah.
45, because they wasn't playing like, oh, you could do all that play stuff in the daytime with them base chiefs, but we're gonna get to the real training that night.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
what
it
is
was a
that
whole
all
bunch of
about?
push-ups involved, but they taught a whole lot of like educational stuff too. So
Yes, yes.
yeah,
We didn't have, you don't have to take away
yeah,
the physical aspect of it, but
yeah,
you should definitely be learning something. Like,
yeah,
I just,
yeah.
that's the part that I just did never, I don't know. I felt like I didn't know a lot.
Right.
I knew a lot because I was an IS, and I know a lot of
Hmm.
policy I, I was that kind of a sailor anyway.
Right. Right.
But,
Yeah.
but a lot of these sailors don't know policy. You know,
No.
not everybody knows policy. Not everybody has
Yeah.
a chief that says, bring me the policy when you bring me whatever it is that you want.
Right.
Right. I knew the policy because the chief that I worked for on the WASP, he was a great guy. He was my friend, but I mean,
Yeah.
I was writing his eval and his awards. Like,
Hmm.
I was doing a lot of stuff on there. And so, it's just, it's just different. It's
Yeah.
just, I
I
guess
guess
it's
now
just a different
they only know
perspective.
policy when they trying to use it against, like, for them.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
only time they want to talk about policy. But it says
Yeah.
this, but they want to use it for what they want to use it for.
Right.
Nothing else.
Yeah.
Nothing else. So being an
Yeah.
instructor, you know, at DAMNet, going back to the A school and C school, like, how was that, like, you doing that? 'Cause I
I
like
was,
teaching myself, so
I do like teaching.
Yeah.
It's funny how much you'll learn about yourself.
Mm,
But I was in charge of when I first got there, by the way, we talk about kids.
mm-hmm.
So, I did everything the way that I was supposed to do it. And I did 2 ships back to back because I wanted to be home for Angelina's
Right.
first day of kindergarten. So fast forward through WASP. Toward the end of WASP, I think I got like 3 months left on my tour. I get pregnant with Dominic. So doesn't matter. I was ranked like number 3 out of 100 and something on the ship. I got my eval. I went
Right.
and I think I went to, it was Networcom at the time. It would have been Fywick. But so I went there for my pregnancy tour, and I was like, I want to go to the schoolhouse. That's my next thing, because the schoolhouse is where I'm gonna, that's where you're gonna make your money, right? Like I'm gonna make senior chief of the schoolhouse. So I never stopped, right? I'm gonna make senior chief. I'm an IS. Hold on just a minute. I gotta go get my plug. So I'm telling, I'm gonna make senior chief. So I get to the schoolhouse. Now, I've been on 2 ships. Now, this is, again, post 9/11. So I've done 2 ships, and all of this time. Are you listening? Are you talking about
I'm listening, Sue. I can still hear you.
Who you talking about? I'm crazy to.
Oh, it's the people.
Oh, people. So listen. So they got this list, this IA list. Remember the IAs, right?
IA, yeah.
Yeah, they got this list, right? And it's the list at Nimitzi, which is our schoolhouse, is based on deployment, like your deployment schedule and stuff. So I was basically at the bottom of the list because I just did back-to-back ships. Are you fucking shitting me? So, Dominic is a baby. I'm nursing. Everybody in the building knows that I'm nursing. And I kid you not, let me tell you. Now, I did all of this so that I could see my baby go to kindergarten. I did back-to-back ships. I did all of this shit.
Oh,
so
okay,
the minute that the leadership at Nimitzi found out that I stopped nursing Dominic, I was on my way to Cuba 2 months later.
What?
No shit. That very next month. So I stopped nursing him in March. I want to say March because I nursed him for 9 months. So in March, I stopped nursing him. Isn't this crazy? Because this is why that there's such a difference between women now. So at the 9-month mark, I stopped nursing him. 10 months, I'm on the list to go to Cuba. I said, hey, wait a minute. There's a whole list of instructors who have been here for almost 3 years who have no deployment time. But they were just they needed them so much more than they needed me. So here I go, Cuba. I missed Dominic's 1-year birthday. I missed his first steps. I missed Angelina's first day of kindergarten.
Wow.
So yeah. So these are the things that I'm making up for. So
because you do try to like time up. Once you figure out some stuff, you're like, well, if I do this and do this, then I know I can do this. You know. Yeah, you do kind of balance things out. Like, no, I need to transfer at this time because for whatever personal thing you got going on.
Right.
Yeah, so I definitely understand that.
Yeah, so so I missed his first steps. I mean, so essentially, Dominic wasn't even a year old. Will was having a baby all by himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't sleeping through the night because I had nursed him for so long that he nursed on schedule. So Will had to work it out. At the time, Will was at NECC. I think he had transferred to NECC by then. So he was at NECC, and Dominic was at the CDC on Dam Neck.
Damn.
So he's taking him to the CDC on Dam Neck. I mean, so he's having to drive him to Dam Neck, then go over to Little Creek, come back from Little Creek, pick him up.
That's a hike.
Mm-hmm.
From Little Creek to Dam Neck?
Or maybe
that was a straight shot, but it's a long drive.
Or maybe that was when he was at SPT. It could have been when he got to SPT 20. That might have been 20. Because he had to do it again when I was on Nassau, and he was at NECC. That's what it was. He was at NECC when I was on Nassau, but he was at 20, Special Boat Team 20 on Little Creek when I was deployed to Cuba. So either way, he had to do the trek.
Then it's still, yeah, yeah. That's that part, man. Like people don't. A lot of people don't understand. Like when you just that single parent, with their spouses out to sea doing whatever,
Mm-hmm.
what
Yeah.
goes on in the background, and you thinking like, yeah, everything is fine, nothing went on, but it's a lot of travel time.
Mm-hmm. It
You know,
is. It is.
it's a
It
lot of
is.
travel time. Then you talking about feeding kids at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and you still, as an adult, you want a life. You
Right.
still want a piece of life. Like
Right.
because it's not like, okay, yeah, I'm out to sea floating, doing what we do out there, and it can be rough, for some people. I'm sure. I'm not never taking that
Right.
away. But this being
Yeah.
at home, but you had a little bit of freedom. Like, only thing I'm worried about is the people that I'm working with right now. That's my
Right.
focus. The people that I'm
Yeah.
working with. The majority of us train to do whatever, whenever, and any type of emergency. But with just the family, when you leave them behind, it's like it's a lot of stuff that goes on. Sometimes they don't even tell you about it.
Yeah. And then,
You know.
and then you come back and it is, that reentry is something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
now, you want to be a part of this routine that they have, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot. I had to do it a lot. And so when I came off
Yeah.
Truman, that's why I kind of just stopped. But it took me going through all these different emotions to get to a place where I was like, you know what? I don't care. I had to be okay with my decision. And so I was okay with my decision. So I was like, I don't care. And then of course they gave me senior chief like immediately. It's like someone told them she don't care anymore. So now I made senior chief. And so, and they were like, oh, well, we need you at Airland. That's been the constant in my career has always been, we need you somewhere. We need you somewhere. Well, you guys only need me when it suits you, not when it suits me.
Right. Right.
But I went to Airland and it was fine. And again, I was killing myself to get my degree that I came in the Navy for. And then I was at Airland, and everybody's like, why aren't you a Master Chief? And I'm like, well, I don't know. You should ask the ISs. You should ask them. Don't ask me. Right. And then,
right.
it was well, we need to get you to SEA. And I'm not going to SEA. They were like begging me to go to SEA. So I was like, I'm not going to SEA until I finish my degree. My degree is most important thing because that's what I need. So I finished my degree and I promised them that once I finished my degree, I would go to SEA. So I went to SEA. Now I was typical IS shit. So I was getting ready to leave Airland. He's like, you need to go back to sea. For what? You need to go out back to sea. I've already been a DLCPO at sea as a chief. Like as a senior chief, how as a senior chief do you want me to go back to a carrier to be the DLCPO again? That doesn't make any sense. That is not, upward, up. Increase in responsibility, scope and responsibility. There is no increase in scope.
I checked that.
Right. I already did that. Right. So I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm not going. So then they were talking about something and I said, I might consider it. It depends on where it is. Right. And I was really considering an amphib. And that was the only way I was going to go back to sea. I didn't tell them that, but I was not going back to a carrier. So about this time, this is when my sister-in-law is battling cancer and stuff like that. And I kept telling them, I'm not going out to sea right now. I'm not doing this. Because if I'm out to sea and my sister-in-law passes, there's no way that I'm going to listen to a commanding officer tell me that I can't go home because my sister-in-law is not my immediate family and not be there for my little brother. Like that's no, it'll never happen. Hell hath no fury. Like I would probably be kicked out of the Navy. Like absolutely not putting myself in that position. Right. So long story short, she passes. I end up down in Tampa for about a month or two with my brother, helping my brother do all of that stuff. Right. And no kidding, Ty. One of the fucking Master Chiefs calls me. Now I am out. My brother and I are out getting like stuff arrangements for my sister-in-law's funeral or her, for her funeral. And one of them calls me and was like, I know this is probably not a good time, but now you think you might be willing to go to a ship? I said, I don't. So I called the detailer. I said, did you have this fucking female call me? And he was like,
Yeah.
no. I said, well, let me tell you something. Even if I had considered a ship, y'all can kiss my motherfucking ass. I'm not going to a ship. I'll take those orders at Group 4 or I'll get out. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Right.
I was like, but these Group 4 orders, nobody's taking them. I was like, so clearly it's not a beneficial, it's not a good career enhancing move.
Yeah.
So nobody wants them. I was like, and I told you I'll take them. I'll ride it out to 26. I'll be done. I'm good. Or I'll just go now. And so when I got back from Tampa, they cut me orders to Group 4. And it was funny because I was trying to put in my papers and my career counselor was like, no, you're going to make Master Chief. There's no reason why you shouldn't be a Master Chief. I was like, I'm telling you, I'm not making Master Chief. Sure as shit. I was the only one on the list.
I was about to say, so how long was you at Group 4 before you made Master Chief?
A year. Not even.
Wow.
Like a year. And I made Master Chief. And it wasn't because of an IS. It was not because of an IS. It was because of a female intel officer. Female intel officer was like, hold up. Has anybody looked at her record? I get it that she didn't go back out to sea, but she's got all of this stuff. And she walked me up. A CT Master Chief that sat on the board that I knew told me. It was Mo Fox, Captain Mo Fox. He was like, do you know Mo Fox? And I was like, I've heard her name. He was like, yeah, she's the one. She walked you all the way up. But yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it is good. I mean, it was, it was great. Like I'm happy that I retired a Master Chief, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to take nothing away. It's just that it's just sometimes when you look back at what, all this shit that I endured, was it worth it? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, but
I say yes.
I achieved what I wanted.
That's what I'm about to say. You achieved what you wanted. You set out for the goal that you wanted, that you had in front of you, and you capitalized on it. You got it.
Right.
So yeah, it was worth it. I say all the time, like, man, what I know now, I would have just did 20 and retired. Right. But
yeah,
I had fun that last 10. So
I did.
I can't front on it. Yeah,
I did.
So I had fun.
And I'll tell you that Nassau really is the reason why I had actually considered an amphib. That was the only way. I was like, and I tell people all the time, I'll tell chiefs all the time that, because for our community, they act like carriers are the big shit. I'm like, carriers are not the big shit. I was like, amphibs are the big shit. Right. I was like, if you go out there and make a name on an amphib, you've done something. Because everybody knows you on the amphib. This is not just you and ops. You and intel and ops departments. Intel and ops are typically two departments together, right? But nobody else outside of intel and ops probably knows you. And so I was like, no, you go out to an amphib and make a name for yourself. Then that's something.
That's
you know what I'm saying? That's something. And Nassau was just. I'll tell you that Nassau was like the best thing that happened to me. Honestly, it was the best thing that happened to me because it reinvigorated for me my love of the Navy, because while the Navy had there was a means to an end, and it was it was something that I did, but I loved it. Like in the beginning, I really, really loved it, and I think that Nassau did a great job of that sort of camaraderie that we had, even with the crew. It just brought it all back for me. It brought me back to the Baton days, and it just brought it all back to me. I was like, this is the reason why. Because after the Baton, I was like, I could do this.
Right. So the Nassau was just like it taught me how to be a chief. I was a chief for like three going on 3.5 years at that point. But when I got there, it was just like, it was a great mix of, aviation and surface, and I got it, And I had more surface mentors than my aviation mentors. Right. So it was like, it was some good, like chiefs and officers on that ship. Chiefs and officers. So it was good. Even the first classes on there, like, it was good. It was a good time. Even being out to sea for like 159 days straight with no port, I was cool with that. Like at the point, you like, all right, we out here.
Yeah,
we out here. We pulled
You're
out of
out there
Norfolk, we could
working
pull right
out,
back
just
into
making
that
the
Joker.
best of it. Yeah, it
Yeah, I'm just
was.
making the best of it. But it's like, but we had fun though. We
Hmm.
did things.
Yeah,
Cause we were stuck, not stuck, but we were just out there doing a job.
yeah.
So yeah,
I
that was dope.
yeah, I loved it. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I loved it, but
So you was that subland. How was it working with like the submarines, like the
that
submariners?
was funny.
Oh yeah.
Um, So I didn't know a lot about submariners. Like I didn't know we weren't allowed to call them submariners. I learned that really
Oh, for
fast.
real?
Yeah, submariners. We have to call them submariners. They're really
Submarines.
weird. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
I, you would just imagine that they're probably weirdos, but they really are weirdos.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of fat people. Quite a bit of fat people, especially the nukes, right? And the nukes can be fat because they pay those nukes a lot of money, so they don't. I
They don't get no
remember
punish.
this one nuke guy. He was an ET when I got there. He was questioning me about my IW pen. Well, you're gonna have to requal here. I said, I told bro, who was the guy I was relieving, who the fuck is this fat ET gonna tell me that I'm gonna requal my IW pen? Like, who the fuck is he? He's not even an ET. He's not even an IW rate. And he just started laughing. He was like, "Oh my god, Susan." But yeah,
Yeah.
that dude was big.
Yeah.
I don't say fat like he wasn't just fat. Like he was probably 5 or 10 pounds over. Like he was
Right.
a big body Benz. Like this dude was big. I was like, can he even fucking fit through those little holes? Like what the
Yeah.
hell?
Yeah.
And but I learned a lot. I mean, he was a nice
Mm.
guy and everything, but I definitely learned a lot because one guy was like, "Well, Susan, what do you think? Do you think that there's a gym on a sub?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know.
Oh,
I've
it's like a
never." He's
small.
like,
It's real
"No,
small.
yeah," and he said, and
Very
he
small.
was, yeah, he said that there's like 2 treadmills, and he's like, and they're in a place where you can't even stand up straight on the
Yeah.
treadmill. I was
No.
like, "Oh, my
Uh-uh.
bad,"
Uh-uh.
but
Yeah.
I learned a lot. It was, I mean,
Yeah.
it was great for me because it was decompression. It was
Right.
decompression after
Right.
coming
Right.
off those ships, and then I just I remember the first time like the lieutenant in my shop, he used to brief the admiral every
Mm.
Monday, and he wasn't going to be here, so he was like, "Hey, hey, Chief, can you brief?" I was like, "Yes, yes, I can brief
Yeah.
for you." So
Yeah.
I look over it and I briefed really fast. I had a script written out, so I didn't so I kept to like whatever their little minimum minutes was. But afterwards,
Okay.
everybody just came up to me and they kept complimenting me.
Mm.
I just was laughing. I was like, "I'm an IS. Like, I hope I can brief." I mean, I
Yeah.
don't
You've
like
been
it.
briefing for a long time.
I was like, I
Yeah.
don't like it, but I hope I can do
Yeah.
it. Like,
Right.
but yeah, but they
Right.
were just sort of, you know, it was me, a girl. They had a girl up there, a female chief. They didn't have a lot of female chiefs there, and they
Mm.
definitely didn't have any of them standing up and briefing them. You know what I mean? So all of
Yeah.
the submariners were just so impressed by me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if this is all it takes, I'm in there.
That's
So
what's
yeah.
up. That's what's
But
up.
yeah, it was good. But I wasn't there but a year. I was there long enough. As soon as I made senior chief, Vic Dalton wanted me to move to Airland. So that's what I did.
Mm.
Went to Airland.
So like for me, like, we experienced a whole lot of things, in our years of service.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that was great for me, like at my retirement ceremony, having all female master chiefs, so
That
it's
was
like
nice.
that. Yeah, man. Then like,
That
for
was
me, it's
nice.
like, I know each and every one of them, personally, so,
Right.
and this me being on the ship at the time on the Ford, having, it was like 11 or 12 female master chiefs. The greatest part, out of the 12, like I say, 9 or 10 of them were black females.
Yes.
And then I see him, she was a female, so it was just like, I see the change, and the changes here already,
Mm-hmm.
far as females, in the Navy, just to seeing that
Mm-hmm.
y'all come, from where y'all started from, to blossom, to grow. and make a
Mm-hmm.
difference, you know,
Yeah.
and in positions to make a change, to make a
Mm-hmm.
difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a beautiful thing, man. So I want to say thank you for that 29 years of service and what you've done. Like, what is it that
Oh,
you
thank you.
miss, like right now today, about that?
I think what I miss most is probably leading women,
Mm,
you know,
mm,
because like you said, I think I tried really hard to make sure that I wanted women to be able to come up in an environment where they didn't feel like they had to be um so hard like I was.
yeah,
And so I
right.
just felt like even though I probably wasn't a good example of not being hard because I
Mm,
definitely am a hard end, but
right.
I wanted the I've always wanted women to be empowering to each other and not like not sort of at each other's throat or catty,
Yeah, yeah,
it's they want us to fight. I used to tell them all the
yeah,
time,
right,
listen,
right,
when you
right,
guys
right,
do that,
right,
all you do is just give them, see, that's why you can't have too many women in one place.
right,
Like,
right.
they want us to fight. And I just always wanted to be sort of the woman leader that I didn't have,
Okay,
and I've always wanted women to be better than me, like be better than me. Like, I've had to fight. You don't have to fight, right? I was always like, and I'm pretty sure I talked about it on a speech, but I'm always impressed when I find women that are strong without being as strong as me, right? Like a
okay.
strong woman, but not necessarily a strong voice. Like she doesn't
Mm,
have to be in your face. And it was a very hard thing for me to change. I think I've always been protective, but to be as sort of the kind of leader that I was, that I learned from men. You know what I
okay,
mean? That I learned from men because that's all I had. So that I
yeah,
learned from men. And so I've always been impressed when I come across like a woman leader who is strong, but she doesn't have to be as, I don't know,
hmm,
like as the way that I've always felt like I have to be. Like,
yeah.
I hated that, right? I hated always having to be the strong person.
I
It's
got you.
really, when I'm at home, even though I'm sure that Wu thinks that I'm, you know, overbearing sometimes, but,
Hmm,
I really try to be the wife at home. Like
I
I
got you.
really try to be
I
the
got you.
wife. I try to clean the house and I do the laundry and I cook the
Hmm,
dinner and I do all of those things that, traditional women roles because I
right.
don't always I don't always want to be in charge. I don't know if that even makes any
It's no,
sense.
that's true. Because people think like they'll think of you like that, like you always want
Mhm.
to be in charge. But sometimes you like, I'm cool. I just play the back, like I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but
people say, man, you got to talk more. Like when we at the parties and all that. I let
mm-mm.
famous like that. He like that stuff. So it's like he can do all
Yeah.
of that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna let him live and do his thing. So,
Yeah.
cause that's his thing. I
And what's
enjoy
crazy is
talking as
I'm not
well.
I do too, but I'm not like that either. I don't like,
Yeah, yeah,
I talked to a couple of people at the party, but I just was having fun with Woo and
yeah.
I'm like you. It probably seems like I would be more like famous, but I'm
Uh
really
huh.
not. But I'm really
Right,
not.
right.
I just I stand up for what I believe in and
Mhm.
I'm not going to get rolled over.
I got you.
And
I
that
got
and basically and so I think that I think that that's probably sort of that's probably sums up my career to be 100% honest with you. When I sign people's books, when I write in their chief books, I tell them that one thing that I always have said, and I believe it, I still believe it. I believe that every battle is worth fighting if you want to fight it, and if you lose, that's a part of making you smarter or making you better or making you wiser,
you. Right.
right? So I never that whole choose your battles. I don't believe in that. Like I don't believe
Yeah,
in choosing my
yeah.
battles. I fight
Right.
for what I believe in, and I may be wrong sometimes, and I may lose. And it's not that I don't lose. It's not. that the battle's not going to be lost. Sometimes
Right.
it could be a just battle and I still will lose, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I didn't just say, oh, well, that's just the way that it is.
Right.
You know
You
what I'm
fought
saying?
for it.
Like,
You know, you get
yeah,
to
I
fight
fought for
for
what
it.
I
Yeah.
believe in. Like, it's what I
Right.
believe. Like, we can agree to disagree. I can walk away and have lost. I can shut
Right.
up in color. But before I shut up in color, you're going to know exactly what I think about this piece of paper that you want me to color. Like,
Right.
I can do all of
Right.
these things, but I just never have believed in choosing your battles. And I think, you know, I don't know where that comes from. Like, I don't know where that comes from. I have no idea because, you know, my mom's a really strong woman, but we never talked
Yeah.
about things. Like, she never told me about how it was at work. I know she had to. I know she had to kill herself to take care of my. You know what I mean? She worked a lot to take care of me and my brother, and she never said, you know, these are the problems that I have. So I have no idea what drove me to be that kind of person, and I can only imagine that it comes from a place of never having anybody to fight for me.
I got you.
Like,
I got you.
never having any. I had Angelina. I sent Angelina to Florida. Ty, nobody told me that I could transfer benefits. I was paying out of pocket for Angelina to have insurance in Florida. Nobody told me. Like, this is why I'm so vocal about things, because the entire time that Angelina was in Florida, I didn't know that my mom could take her on base.
Yeah.
To the Air Force Base in Tampa. I didn't know. Like, my mom could have been going to the commissary with Angelina. She had an ID.
Right.
I didn't know that I could transfer her to TRICARE benefits down to there. Like, I didn't know. Nobody told me these things. Nobody even asked me if I needed help with anything, Ty. Like, I went out to the ship. They knew I was a single mom. They knew I had just bought a house. Like, nobody said, hey, is your house okay? What's going on with your daughter? Is your daughter okay? Nobody. I learned all these things going through, and so I think that's where the fight comes from. I think the fight comes from I've had to learn everything on my own, and most of the time the hard way, right? Because it's definitely the school of hard knocks for me, but yeah, I've had to learn everything the hard way. There's a lot of things I didn't know. You know,
yeah.
Shit.
And that's the thing now, like, that kind of like transitioned us to, like, when we thought about those things, like, wow, I didn't know this, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They never put me on to this, they never put me on to that. So like, you always wanted to give back.
Yeah,
you know, to those sailors, so then they'll know. You know, and my guys would always be like, how you just so invested in our careers and making sure we grow and do this? I said, man, it's been a rough ride for me. Easy, because no matter where I went, I just did the best, you know, that you guys can do. But it wasn't as, it could have been harder. It could have been a whole lot harder. A lot of times I had to just keep my mouth shut, you know, on stuff, and sometimes I couldn't. But, you know, it's like you said, picking your battles. You know, I had to learn, like, it could be rough, you know. But once I got with the right people, life was good. I have to be honest about that. You know, life was good. Once I connected and was with the right people, life was good. So after, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I don't know what I was going to say.
No, I'm saying, so after all those years of really nurturing, teaching, helping young adults become adults, you know, now today you're a school teacher teaching third grade.
Yeah.
Now, after everybody here, we're going to hear all of these things about you. They're going to say, she what? Huh? What? Yeah. And now you're a school teacher.
School teacher of little kids. Little ones.
Third grade.
Yeah. And they test you.
Like, what? Like, how is, like...
Woo! They be testing you. Listen,
you could have went to the IS field, but you said, "Nah, I'm going to teach. I'm going to teach school."
And it's not even like, it's good money for what it is. I don't want to play it down like it's not good money, but it's definitely not six figures. It's not. I couldn't do this and it'd be my job. Like I'm always, and I don't even get benefits, which I don't need anyway, but I'm always sort of blown away at the young people that are in this contract that do this kind of stuff that, who's paying for your insurance? I imagine their parents are, because I would be paying for Angelina's. So, or Sydney's.
Really?
We
It's
did for
like
Sydney
that?
for a while. Yeah. They don't have benefits. And, some of these girls are young and you don't get full time. So, it's not full time. I mean, it's close to full time. It's 37 hours, but
Yeah.
it still, I'm like, how, I'm, it's a great job. It's definitely a great stepping stone, but it's probably right for some of these kids. It's just hard for me to imagine, but it's probably for some of these kids like a stepping stone. Like it's like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
little E5s out here making
Right.
pretty good
Right.
money,
Right.
but ain't got
Right.
no, but don't have any benefits. But it's amazing. I do it because I
Mm.
want to.
That's
I
cool.
do it because of, the Adopt a School program is really um, the first time that I did. Well, I've done Adopt a School a lot because we used,
Hmm.
that's one of those collateral duties. But when I got to Airland, they had a school. They had this backpack program. So this was my first sort of
Yeah.
real kind of in like eyes opening into this Title One and how these kids are hungry. And so
Okay.
I ran the backpack program. I ran the Adopt a School. So we did tutoring and stuff with the kids, but we also did backpack program. And so the backpack program is a program through, I want to say, well, it's definitely through Walmart, but I can't remember the other company. But they provide backpack full of food twice a month to the kids.
Really?
It's yeah, and it's like 100 per kid for the school year. 100. It was like $110. So I said that we would do 50 bags. 50
Mm.
bags. And I
You
just
put that
did
number
all
out
kinds.
there.
Yeah, I was like, we'll do 50 bags. And my initial thought was, of course, everybody is going to be like me, and I I'm paying for a backpack. I would pay for two backpacks because I spend two or three backpacks worth of groceries
Right. Right.
on any
Right.
given day. So,
Right.
so I was like, "What is $100?" But everybody got really mad at me. But anyway, we fundraised, and I basically talked the Chiefs mess into voting for it. So,
That's
and
what's up.
we obligated the 50 backpacks. But if you go there and you look at the list, and you're like, the list, the potential, the kids that need it
Dang.
was
Yeah.
like two or three times what the
Right.
money that they had. That's the reason why I just was like, I was doing all the fundraising, and I was like, if I have to come out of my pocket more, I'm gonna come out of my pocket. But what I did was I went around to the different departments and made the department sponsor a bag. So I would say, hey, don't you want to
Oh,
sponsor a
that's
bag?
cool.
And so
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
sponsor a bag. And me and my girlfriend, of course, we sponsored our own bag. But
Hmm.
so we did it, and so that was my first sort of introduction into Title One schools and what they needed. And so I um when I retired, I didn't actually apply for this. They called me. It was a
Oh, okay.
strange thing. So I I was going to do human resource management. My father passed away like right as I retired. So I just kind of fell off with taking my certification. And
I got
I was just sitting at home one day, like, I got to do something. Like, I need to
you.
do
Yeah.
a resume or something, right? And I got a call. And I guess the lady, the recruiter or whatever, was looking through LinkedIn, and she found me, and she was like, "Hey, I think you would be a great fit." And I thought to myself, "Man, this is really strange," because I thought maybe I had applied for it because
Yeah.
instruction is in the human resources wheelhouse, training. And
Right.
so I was like,
Right.
maybe I
Right.
applied,
Right.
but she found me. So anyway, so that's how I ended up, and I went to Jaycox. I looked at the schools that they had available. Jaycox was an elementary school. I started out in fifth grade, and then I went to third last year, and I stayed with third. And
Wow.
it's it's really rewarding. It's definitely
Yeah.
really challenging, but it is really rewarding. The number of kids that can't read is like outrageous. The number of kids that can't read on a third grade level
At third
is
grade.
yeah. I mean, there's kids that can't read at all, but the number of kids that can't read on a third grade level is just, you know, it's just I don't know. It's what drives you to go and to deal with all the extra shenanigans,
Mm-hmm.
because they love it, right? I buy them
Yeah.
Takis. They pass their test. I give them Takis. These kids love Takis. You
Yeah.
know, I buy them all kinds of things. Like I'm always doing something. I made them like little Easter bags. And I think, and some of it might be making up for the time I miss with my kids.
With your kids. I
You know what
got
I
you.
mean?
That's
It could
respect.
be.
That's respect.
It could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. How long you
But
see yourself doing this for? I can tell you something, but
uh
let me speak before you say it. I think you're gonna do this for some time. Like
yeah,
seriously.
I'm thinking about moving to Virginia Beach. My girlfriend says that she
Yeah.
thinks I'll do really well with like middle school and high school. So um she thinks she's like, because I'm a little militant. No, really.
Yeah.
Um but so I don't know. I like it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely like it, but I need to decide something because I want to have my knee replacement this summer, so I've got to
Okay.
decide something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Dang,
it's
Sue. That's
it's
what's up.
rewarding. These
Yeah.
kids are they listen, let me tell you something. They challenge me. I cursed the other day. So, I don't curse very often, believe it or not. I know it's a hard thing to think, but the other day it just kind of came right out. This kid was like, he was like gonna throw up. So he's
Yeah.
just gonna sit at his desk and continue to like heave. And then he gets up and goes to the trash. I said, Jaden, what's wrong? I feel kind of like I'm gonna throw up. Why don't you go to the fucking nurse then? Why do we all have to be exposed to you out here about to throw up? Like, that's disgusting. And everybody was like this. I was like, that's gross. And then I was like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that, but
Yeah, you
yuck.
should have said that. Nah.
No,
I
but
mean, the
yuck.
little buddy probably didn't know. Like he just
No, he knew. He knew. He knew enough to go over to the trash can. Sir,
yeah, right there. That's why I
all of
told
us don't
it
want
could
to
have been on the
be
floor.
exposed to your grody-ness. It's gross. Anyway, them
Boy, they
kids would
getting
be
you
like,
live and
oh,
in effect, boy. They're
yeah,
like,
they do.
woo. Yeah.
They were talking about my
But they
butt the
probably
other
gonna
day,
you
though.
gonna probably be one of them teachers and be like, man, I remember we had Miss Suddoth and she was such and
Mm-hmm.
such and such and such.
Mm-hmm.
And she was cussing.
Yeah, that's gonna be me. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. Like I'm gonna be what Steve Harvey said about going to church. That's gonna be me, the church lady.
The
But
church,
yeah,
yeah. They'd be cussing up a
but
storm.
but yeah, I definitely I go between two classes. One class I'm in permanently, and then the other class I do like their morning work and stuff because their teacher drives a bus, so he drives the
Oh,
bus in the
okay.
morning, so I cover his class. But um,
Wow. That even had to
it's
happen? Like you got a teacher that's a bus driver too?
yeah. Yeah, these kids are young. What's crazy? So the teacher that I work with, oh, she's such a great teacher too. But she's only 28. I told her, I
Damn.
was like, I was not a professional at 28, ma'am. Not a professional. Like what? Like she always laughs because I'm like, first off, I'm old enough to be her mother, but I don't
Right,
act like
right,
I'm old
right.
enough to be her mom. But
Yeah.
she's like, but I'm like, man, I told her all the time, Kaylin, I'm so proud of you. You're just such a professional.
Yeah.
You're such a great teacher. Like you are really a great teacher, and she has such a great temperament.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm always just enamored that she's 28 years old and she's a professional. Like you're a professional. Like I was
Right.
not a
That's what's up.
professional. I
He
was
wasn't
like,
even close.
I was trying. I was working on it.
He was trying. He was working on it. Work in progress. Work in
But
progress.
no,
Not
you
even
kidding me?
close.
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't even know if
Sue,
I
I'm gonna
became a
get you out of
professional for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna get you out here on this one. But I want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, man. I enjoy being stationed with you, having fun on the ship. 29 years. Me just reading your body of work is like, wow, Sue didn't put some work in.
Yeah.
Then put some work in. So, and this, thank you. Thank you for supporting this podcast.
Oh, this was fun.
Thanks for
It's
supporting
just 2
me.
hours.
Yeah, normally it's not that long, but I know you got stories, and we didn't even get to the surface yet. So, but we got it. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. So, just tell me all the time that you spent in Norfolk, coming up,
Mm-hmm.
in Virginia, that whole Hampton Roads area. What was your favorite club to go to when you were
Oh,
younger?
yes. Let me see. My favorite?
Yeah, favorite.
Oh, God, I used to go to all of them, Ty. You know that I used to go to Picasso's.
Now, I don't know a lot of clubs. I know Picasso's. I've been there.
I stopped going to Picasso's. This is true story. I stopped going to Picasso's because one, I would always be the only white girl there, right?
Yeah.
So, they used to try to holler at me, but they would only holler at me outside because, the black girls weren't having that shit. They were like, you ain't hollering. You're not talking to the white girl. They hollered me outside. So that was fine. I didn't care because I was there to have a good time anyway, right? But
Right.
one time I went and I was probably wearing some short shorts and like some boots or something. I don't know. But they were having a booty shaking contest or something like that. So they was trying to get girls out on the floor. So I'm standing over on the side of the floor and they're trying to get girls out there. Why did the DJ say Snow Bunny? The entire club looked at me. I was like, you know what? I'm not going back. I never went back again.
That was in Picasso's?
Yeah, at Picasso's. I was like, I'm not going back. I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
The white girl just being the only white girl, but it's not like I wasn't the only white girl at a lot of clubs. You know what clubs I did like? Shadows. I love Shadows.
I heard about that.
And I can't remember the name of it, but it was probably my favorite. But I think it's called the Beach House now. But it's on 17th, and it's like a little ways down. But that was my shit. I went to all the clubs though. The Abyss, like all of them.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
All of them.
The only club that I never went to, I went into Picasso's. I mean, not Picasso's. I went into Peabody's one time. That was to use the bathroom. I went in to use the bathroom and walked right back out. Like Peabody's was not my thing. So Peabody's is the only place that I never went to. But that's because they were all young,
Yeah.
So they're still 18.
I always hear a lot of club stories from people like that's been in Virginia like the whole time, like from the 90s on. Like they got stories.
Yeah.
So I was like,
What's crazy is that one of the girls at a university instructor with me right now. I know you're trying to get off this. She's a university instructor with me right now. Why does she go to a club that used to be my spot, the Edge, down on the beach? And I was telling her about how one time I got kicked out. I was trying to kill this girl on the dance floor. And I was standing outside, so the Edges got, it's down on the beach, so they all got big windows. So I'm standing at the door, knocking on the door. Come out here, come out. I'm gonna, like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And the cop standing right here. I was like, never mind. I'm just playing.
Yeah.
They
don't play down there on the beach. They ain't playing down there on the beach.
But yeah, she goes to the Edge now. Like, that's her club. And I'm like, man, I was going to the Edge like 30 years ago. Like, what? 20 years ago. So I was like showing her pictures of me, and she was like, "Oh my God!"
Really?
She calls me Ma, so she think she's like, "You still look good. Like, how do you still look so good?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been here for a long time. Yeah, I've been to all the clubs, all of them.
Oh, and that's what everybody say they've been to every club. I'm like, that's just crazy. Like, seems like the club was just packed full of like military people. Because everybody I talk to say.
Probably, but my hair back then was down to my butt. So you wouldn't have known. Like, a lot of people didn't know that I was in the military. I didn't move like I was in the military back then.
Right,
and plus two, and my girlfriends, none of my girlfriends were in the military. So it wasn't, but my hair was like down. It was pretty close, like way down to here. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have known because I always had it in a tight bun. And so then when I would drop it down, it was like, golly, all that hair. Yeah, I didn't start cutting my hair until I think I got pregnant with Dominic. But yeah.
But thanks again. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.